The wedding photo appeared on my screen at 6:47 a.m., right between a recipe for cornbread and my neighbor's cat pictures. White dress, bright smile. My daughter Lily, the girl I'd raised since she was 3 years old, married to a man I'd never met. The caption read, "Finally official with my forever family." I wasn't in a single photo, not one. My coffee mug slipped from my hand and shattered across the kitchen floor, hot liquid spreading like the realization flooding through me. 23 years of motherhood erased from the most important day of her life. Before I go further, drop a comment telling me where you're watching from, and if stories like this hit home, hit that subscribe button because you'll want to see how this ends. My name is Margaret Ann Whitley. I'm 69 years old, and until that Tuesday morning, I believed I knew exactly who I was. I was Lily's mom, the woman who held her through nightmares about her birth parents, the one who worked double shifts at the diner so she could have dance lessons, the person she called first when she got accepted to college, screaming so loud I had to pull the phone away from my ear. I stared at that photo until my eyes burned. Lily stood between two people I'd seen maybe twice in passing, her biological aunt and uncle, the Carmichaels. They'd reappeared in her life 3 years ago, showed up at a family barbecue I'd thrown for her 25th birthday, like ghosts materializing from nowhere. Lily had gone pale when she saw them. I'd thought it was shock, maybe fear. Now I understood it was recognition. The wedding had happened 2 days prior, according to the timestamp. 2 days of her knowing, of her posting other things, of her living in this new reality while I scrolled through my feed completely unaware that everything had changed. I picked up my phone with shaking hands and called her, straight to voicemail. I called again. Voicemail. On the third attempt, I heard the subtle difference in the ring that told me I'd been sent directly to voicemail. She was awake. She was choosing not to answer. I scrolled through the comments under her post. 73 congratulations. Heart emojis. People I'd never heard of celebrating a moment I should have been central to. Then I found it, buried 12 comments down, someone asking the question I needed answered. "Where's your mom? Wasn't she invited?" Lily's response came 3 minutes after the question was posted. This was about celebrating with my real family. Fresh starts and all that. Real family. I read those 2 words 17 times before my brain would accept what my eyes were showing me. The girl I'd tucked into bed every night for 15 years, who'd called me mom without hesitation, who'd sobbed in my arms when her first boyfriend broke her heart. That girl had just announced to the world that I wasn't real. I walked to her old bedroom, the one she'd moved out of 4 years ago when she got her own apartment downtown. I'd kept it exactly as she'd left it. Pink walls she'd picked when she was 14. Bookshelves full of young adult novels she'd outgrown. A corkboard covered in photos of us together, every stage of her childhood documented and displayed like a shrine. I looked at those photos now with new eyes. Her middle school graduation, my arm around her shoulders. Her sweet 16, both of us laughing at something her friend had said. Prom night, me pinning a corsage on her wrist. In every single photo, I was looking at her with unmistakable love. And in every single photo, she was looking just slightly away from the camera, her smile not quite reaching her eyes. How had I never noticed that before? The doorbell rang, sharp and intrusive. I pulled open the door to find Vanessa Carmichael standing on my porch. Lily's biological aunt, the woman who'd given her up to the foster system 26 years ago, when Lily's mother died, and she decided a toddler was too much responsibility. She looked expensive now. Designer handbag, professionally straightened hair, teeth too white to be natural. "Margaret," she said, not quite meeting my eyes. "We need to talk." I didn't move from the doorway. About what exactly? About how you helped my daughter plan a wedding behind my back? Or about how you've spent 3 years convincing her that biology matters more than the person who actually raised her? Vanessa had the grace to look uncomfortable. It wasn't like that. Lily reached out to us. She wanted to connect with her roots, understand where she came from. She came from a foster home where she had cigarette burns on her arms and couldn't sleep without a nightlight, I said, my voice deadly calm. I'm where she came from in any way that matters. Vanessa pulled an envelope from her purse. Lily wanted me to give you this. She said she wasn't ready to see you yet, but she wanted you to understand her decision. I took the envelope and closed the door before Vanessa could respond. I stood in my entryway, holding it, listening to her expensive heels click down my front steps. I opened the envelope. The letter inside was typed, not handwritten. Dear Margaret, it began. Not Mom, Margaret, formal, distant. The letter explained how reconnecting with the Carmichaels had helped her understand her authentic self. How the wedding had been small and intimate because she wanted to celebrate with people who shared her blood, her real connections. The closing line broke through my shock. I hope someday you can understand that this isn't a rejection of you. It's an acceptance of who I really am. I need space now to build my actual family. Please respect that. Lily Carmichael. She'd taken their last name. Dropped Whitley completely. I folded the letter carefully and walked upstairs to my bedroom. Then I pulled out my laptop and opened my email. The first message went to Patricia Chen, the real estate agent who'd helped my neighbor sell her house last year. Patricia, I need to list my house as soon as possible. The response came back in under 10 minutes. She could have papers ready by tomorrow. The second email went to my supervisor at the diner. I'm giving my 2 weeks' notice effective immediately. The third email was to Marion Foster, my college roommate in Santa Fe. Marion, is that guest house still available? I'm thinking about a permanent change of scenery. I spent the rest of that day organizing my exit. Lily's childhood belongings went into boxes labeled with her new married name and stacked in the garage. I took down every photo of us from the walls. If she wanted to erase me from her narrative, I wouldn't leave evidence to complicate her story. That night, I lay in bed waiting for tears that wouldn't come. Lily had made her choice, and I was choosing me. But what I didn't know then was that Lily's perfect new family was hiding something that would destroy everything she thought she knew. The house sold in 9 days. Cash offer, above asking price. My last day at the diner, Rita asked what Lily thought about my move. Lily is focused on her new marriage, I said simply. She'll be fine without me. I left town on a Thursday morning, my entire life packed into a U-Haul trailer. My phone had stayed silent for 2 weeks. No call from Lily. No text asking why I was selling the house or leaving. She didn't care enough to check in. The drive to Santa Fe took 3 days. With every mile, I felt lighter. My phone sat silent in the passenger seat. I'd posted nothing on social media about my move. If Lily checked, she'd find my life frozen the morning I discovered her wedding photos. Marion's guest house was perfect, small, clean, filled with light. You look different, Marion said after helping me unload. Like you've lost weight, but not physically. I lost a daughter, I said bluntly. Turns out that makes you lighter. 3 weeks into my new life, Marion had me enrolled in a pottery class. You're actually pretty good at this, said the instructor, Joel, examining the bowl I'd thrown. I looked at the slightly lopsided creation and felt pride. It's not perfect. Perfect is boring, Joel said. This has character. That's what makes it valuable. If you're wondering what happens next, Subscribe now so you don't miss the moment everything changes. My phone finally rang on a Tuesday afternoon while I was at the grocery store. Unknown number, but with my old area code. My heart jumped before my brain could stop it. Hello? Ms. Whitley, this is Vanessa Carmichael. Not Lily. Of course not Lily. What can I do for you, Vanessa? We've been trying to reach you. Your house is sold? The new owner said you moved out of state? There was accusation in her voice. That's correct. I relocated to New Mexico. But you didn't tell anyone. Lily tried calling last week and your number's disconnected. I picked up a bunch of cilantro, examined it. I got a new phone number when I moved. New life, fresh start. I'm sure you understand the appeal of that. Silence. Then, Lily's upset. She says you abandoned her. The laugh that came out of me was sharp enough to cut. I abandoned her? That's interesting. I seemed to recall being told I wasn't real family and asked to respect her space. She didn't mean it like that. She was just excited about reconnecting with us. She took your last name, I said flatly. She dropped Whitley. She told me in writing that she needed to build her actual family. I'm simply honoring her request. You're being petty. She's your daughter. She was my daughter. She made it very clear that relationship was past tense, so I acted accordingly. Vanessa's voice sharpened. She wants to talk to you, to explain. She had the entire wedding planning period to talk to me. She had 2 days after the wedding. She had 3 weeks between the wedding and now. If she wanted to talk, she knew how to reach me. Your number was disconnected. My email worked just fine. She never bothered to use it. I heard Vanessa exhale. Frustrated. She's young. She's figuring out her identity. You're the adult here. You should be more understanding. The audacity took my breath away. I was understanding for 23 years. I understood when she had nightmares. I understood when she needed therapy. I understood when she pulled away. What I won't do is stand around waiting to be included when she's made it clear I'm not welcome. So, you're just going to cut her off? I'm not cutting her off. She cut me out. I'm just living in the reality she created. I hung up before Vanessa could respond. That night, Marion found me on the back patio, staring at the desert sunset with wine. Heard your phone ring earlier, she said. It was Lily's aunt. Apparently, Lily's upset that I moved without telling her. How do you feel about that? I don't know, I admitted. Part of me wants to call her immediately, and part of me wants to throw my phone into the desert. Both feelings can be true at the same time. The worst part is that I still love her, I said, my voice cracking. After everything, I still love her exactly as much as I did before, and I hate that about myself. Marion refilled both our glasses. That's not how love works, especially maternal love. You don't stop caring just because someone hurts you. She doesn't want my love, though. Maybe right now she doesn't, but people change. The question is, what do you need? I watched the sky shift from orange to purple. I need to not feel like I'm waiting for her to decide I'm valuable. I need to build a life that doesn't revolve around being someone's mother. Okay, Marion said simply. So, we do that. Over the next month, I threw myself into my new life. Pottery class twice a week. A book club at a wine bar downtown. Hiking trails around Santa Fe. I was learning to be Margaret, not just Lily's mom. Then one morning, my new phone rang. A number I didn't recognize, but this time from Lily's city. I almost didn't answer. But something made me pick up. Margaret? The voice was male, uncertain. This is Trevor Hayes, Lily's husband. My heart stopped. Is she okay? Is she hurt? She's not hurt, not physically, but something's happened, and she needs you. What Trevor told me next would change everything I thought I knew about Lily's perfect new family. "What do you mean something's happened?" I asked Trevor, gripping the phone tighter. My hands had started shaking. "It's the Carmichaels," Trevor said, his voice strained. "Vanessa and Gerald. They've been lying to Lily about everything." I sat down slowly on the edge of my bed. "What kind of lies?" "Can we meet? I know you moved away, but this is serious. Lily won't talk to anyone. She's been locked in our bedroom for 2 days. She won't eat. She just keeps crying and saying she ruined everything." Part of me wanted to say no. Wanted to tell him that Lily had made her choices, and now she had to live with them. But the mother in me, the one who'd spent 23 years responding to every cry and every need, couldn't ignore the desperation in his voice. "Tell me what happened first," I said. Trevor took a shaky breath. "We found out Vanessa and Gerald have been using Lily. They never cared about reconnecting with family. They wanted access to her trust fund." I felt my blood run cold. "What trust fund?" "The one you set up for her when she was adopted. Lily mentioned it to Vanessa a few months ago. Said you'd been saving money for years in an account with her name on it. She thought she was sharing something nice about you, about how you'd planned for her future." My stomach dropped. I had set up that trust fund. Every extra dollar I'd earned for 20 years had gone into it. Over $60,000 saved for Lily's future. For a house down payment, or graduate school, or whatever she needed. "How do you know they were after the money?" I asked. Lily's cousin, the Carmichael's daughter, told her the truth. She felt guilty. Said her parents had planned the whole thing. They researched Lily online, found out about the trust fund through some financial records, and orchestrated the whole reconnection. The wedding push, the family bonding, all of it was to get Lily to add Vanessa as a co-signer on the account. My hands were shaking so hard, I almost dropped the phone. "Did Lily add her?" 2 weeks ago, Trevor said quietly. "Right after we got back from our honeymoon. Vanessa said it was a family tradition, showing trust between blood relatives. Said it would make Lily a real Carmichael." Would you have seen through the lies, or would you have trusted family too? Drop your answer below. And the money? I already knew the answer. Gone. $63,000, withdrawn last week in 3 separate transactions. By the time Lily realized what happened, the account was empty. Vanessa and Gerald have disappeared. Their phone numbers are disconnected. The house they were renting is cleared out. I closed my eyes. 20 years of savings, 20 years of double shifts, and skipped meals and worn-out shoes because I was putting every spare dollar away for my daughter's future. Gone. Stolen by the people Lily had chosen over me. "Where's Lily now?" I asked. "In our bedroom. She won't come out. She keeps saying she destroyed everything. That she threw away the only person who really loved her for con artists. That you'll never forgive her." The old Margaret would have been on the next plane, would have dropped everything to rush to Lily's side and tell her it was okay, that I forgave her, that we'd figure it out together. But I wasn't the old Margaret anymore. "What do you want from me, Trevor?" I asked. "She needs to hear your voice. She needs to know you don't hate her." "I don't hate her," I said, and it was true. "But I'm not going to rush back and pretend everything is fine. She made choices, painful choices that hurt me deeply. The fact that those choices also hurt her doesn't erase what she did to me." "I know," Trevor said. "I told her she messed up. I told her she treated you terribly. But she's my wife, and I love her, and I'm watching her fall apart. I'm not asking you to forgive her. I'm just asking you to talk to her." I stood up and walked to the window, looking out at the New Mexico landscape I'd grown to love. "Put her on the phone." I heard movement, a door opening, Trevor's muffled voice. Lily, your mom wants to talk to you. There was resistance, sounds I couldn't make out. Then Trevor again, more firmly. Take the phone. More rustling, then breathing. Heavy, uneven breathing, like someone who'd been crying for hours. Mom? The word broke me and hardened me at the same time. Now I was mom again, not Margaret, not the woman she'd erased from her wedding and her life. Now, when she needed something, I was mom. I'm here, I said, keeping my voice neutral. I'm so sorry. Her voice dissolved into sobs. I'm so sorry, Mom. I ruined everything. I was so stupid. They took everything you saved for me, everything you worked for, and I chose them over you. I told the world you weren't real family, and you were the only real family I ever had. The words I'd wanted to hear for 2 months. But they didn't feel like victory. They felt like ashes. You did choose them, I said quietly. You did say I wasn't real family. You excluded me from your wedding, took their name, asked me to give you space to build your actual family. Those things happened, Lily. The Carmichaels being con artists doesn't erase what you did. I know, she whispered. I know, and I hate myself for it. I was so desperate to feel connected to something, to understand where I came from. When they showed up and wanted me, it felt like filling a hole I didn't even know I had. And what about the hole you left in me? I asked. Did you think about that? About what it would feel like to find out my daughter got married without me? To read online that I wasn't real family? Silence. Then, I thought you'd always be there. I thought I could explore this other part of my life, and you'd just wait until I was ready to come back. I took you for granted. I thought your love was guaranteed. It was guaranteed, I said. For 23 years, my love was the most guaranteed thing in your life. I showed up every single day. And you threw it away for people who saw you as a paycheck. What do I do now? Lily asked, and she sounded like a child again, lost and scared and looking for me to fix it. I don't know, I said honestly. But what I'm not going to do is rescue you from the consequences of your choices. You wanted to build your actual family with the Carmichaels. You wanted space from me. That's what you have now. Are you saying you're done with me? The fear in her voice was palpable. I'm saying I'm done being the person you only value when it's convenient. I'm done waiting around to be included in your life. I'm done accepting whatever scraps of attention you're willing to give me. But you're still my mom? I am, I agreed. And I still love you. But love isn't enough anymore, Lily. You need to figure out who you are and what you really want. And I need to protect myself from being hurt by you again. How do I fix this? She asked desperately. I don't know if you can, I said. And then, before she could respond, before I could change my mind, I ended the call. 3 days after that phone call, a package arrived at Marion's house. My name written in Lily's handwriting, the first time I'd seen it in months. Inside was a single photograph and a letter. The photo was from her 5th birthday, the first birthday we'd celebrated after her adoption was finalized. She was sitting on my lap, my arms wrapped around her, both of us laughing at something off camera. She'd drawn a heart on the back in red marker with the words, "My real mom," in her child's handwriting. I stared at that photo for a long time before opening the letter. This one was handwritten. 6 pages front and back. Words crossed out and rewritten, tear stains making some of the ink run. She started by listing every memory she had of me being there, every time I'd shown up, every sacrifice she'd witnessed, and the ones she'd only learned about later. She wrote about the night terrors she'd had as a child, and how I'd sleep on the floor next to her bed until she felt safe. About the time I'd sold my wedding ring to pay for her school trip to Washington, D.C. About the hours I'd spent helping her with college applications when I barely understood them myself. Then she wrote about the shame. How ashamed she'd felt sometimes growing up, having a mom who smelled like grease from the diner, who didn't know the difference between wine varieties, who said ain't and couldn't help with her advanced homework. How she'd wanted to be like the other kids whose parents had degrees and white-collar jobs and nice cars. When the Carmichaels showed up, she wrote, they looked like the family I'd imagined I should have had. Polished and educated and successful. I convinced myself that being with them would make me feel complete, would fill this identity crisis I'd been having. I told myself that wanting to know my biological roots was natural and healthy. But really, I think I was just ashamed of where I came from and who raised me, and I'm so sorry for that. I'm sorry I let my insecurity and selfishness hurt the one person who loved me unconditionally. The letter continued, detailing how Vanessa had manipulated her. Started small, mentioning how nice it would be if Lily could help with some family expenses since she had that trust fund just sitting there. Escalated to talking about family obligations and how blood relatives take care of each other. Finally convinced her that adding Vanessa to the account was a gesture of trust and belonging. I wanted to belong so badly, Lily wrote. I wanted them to want me, and I ignored every warning sign because admitting they were using me would mean admitting I'd thrown you away for nothing. The final page broke me. I don't expect you to forgive me. I don't know if I'd forgive me, but I need you to know that you were right. You were always right. You are my real family. You're the only real family I've ever had. And I destroyed that because I was too stupid and insecure to see what I had until it was gone. I love you, Mom. I'm sorry I forgot how to show it. Lily. I set the letter down and realized I was crying for the first time since the wedding photo. Not angry tears or bitter tears, just deep, aching sadness for both of us, for the relationship we'd lost and the pain we'd caused each other. Marion found me on the patio that evening, the letter still in my hands. From Lily? She asked gently. I nodded. She's apologizing, explaining, asking for forgiveness without explicitly asking. What are you going to do? I don't know, I admitted. Part of me wants to call her right now, but another part of me knows that if I do, nothing will really change. She'll feel better, I'll feel needed again, and we'll fall back into the same patterns. What patterns? Her taking me for granted. Me accepting whatever treatment she gives because I'm afraid of losing her. It's what we've always done. She pulls away, I wait patiently. She comes back when she needs something. I'm there immediately. The cycle just repeats. Marion sat down beside me. So, what would need to change? She needs to prove she values me, not just when she's in crisis. And I need to prove to myself that I can be happy whether she's in my life or not. Over the next 2 weeks, more letters arrived. One every few days, each one more raw than the last. Lily wrote about her therapy sessions, about the work she was doing to understand why she'd been so desperate for the Carmichaels' approval. She wrote about her marriage, how Trevor was being patient, but frustrated with her self-destruction. She wrote about the legal case they were building against Vanessa and Gerald, though the lawyers said recovering the money was unlikely. But she didn't ask me to come back, didn't beg me to forgive her, just kept writing, kept being honest, kept showing up on the page in a way she hadn't shown up in person for years. Then one morning, my phone rang. Lily's number. I almost didn't answer, but something made me pick up. Mom? Her voice was steady this time, not desperate or crying. Hi, Lily. I know you probably don't want to hear from me, but I needed to tell you something. We found Vanessa and Gerald. The police arrested them this morning. They'd done this before. To other families. We're not getting the money back, but at least they're facing charges. That's good, I said. How are you doing? Better. Therapy helps. Trevor helps. But mostly I'm just trying to figure out who I am without defining myself by whose daughter I am, biological or adoptive. The maturity in her words surprised me. That sounds healthy. Listen, I know I don't have the right to ask this, but can I visit you? Not to fix everything or force a reconciliation, just to see you. To sit in the same room and prove to both of us that I can show up when it's not an emergency. If you think she deserves a second chance, comment yes below. If not, tell me why. I looked out at the desert landscape that had become my refuge. When were you thinking? Whenever works for you. I can fly out this weekend, or next month, or never if that's what you need. I'm leaving it up to you. That was different. The old Lily would have pushed, would have shown up announced, would have expected me to accommodate her schedule. Next weekend, I said. Saturday. Marion's having a small dinner party, and you can come to that. Low pressure, other people around. Okay, Lily said, and I could hear the relief in her voice. Thank you, Mom, for giving me a chance I don't deserve. After we hung up, I sat for a long time, wondering if I was making a mistake. But Marion's words came back to me. What do you need? And what I needed was to see if Lily could really change. If this version of her who wrote honest letters and went to therapy and let me set boundaries was real or just temporary. I guess I was about to find out. Lily stepped off the plane, looking smaller than I remembered. Thinner. Her hair was shorter, cut into a practical bob, instead of the long waves she'd always maintained. She wore jeans and a simple sweater, none of the expensive designer clothes she'd started favoring after meeting the Carmichaels. When she saw me waiting at arrivals, she didn't run over, didn't throw her arms around me. Just walked slowly, like she was approaching something fragile that might shatter if she moved too fast. Hi, Mom, she said when she reached me. Hi, baby. We stood there awkwardly for a moment before Lily carefully opened her arms in a question. I stepped into the hug, and she held me like I was made of glass. I'm so glad you're here, she whispered. Me too. The drive back to Santa Fe was quiet at first. Lily looked out the window at the desert landscape, so different from North Carolina. It's beautiful here, she said finally. Very different from home. This is home now, I said gently. North Carolina is where I used to live? She flinched slightly at that, but nodded. Right, of course. We stopped for coffee at a small cafe Marion had recommended. Sitting across from each other at the small table felt surreal. How's Trevor? I asked, trying to start somewhere neutral. He's good, supportive, sometimes too supportive, like he's afraid I'll break if he pushes back on anything. Lily stirred her coffee absently. He wanted to come with me, but I told him this was something I needed to do alone. That was probably smart. Mom, I need to say something before we get to Marion's, before there are other people around. Lily set down her cup and looked at me directly. I've been in therapy twice a week since everything happened, and my therapist helped me understand something. I didn't just make one bad decision about the wedding. I'd been pulling away from you for years, bit by bit, choosing other people's approval over your feelings, being embarrassed by you instead of proud. Her voice cracked slightly. I was a terrible daughter long before the Carmichaels showed up. They just gave me an excuse to act on feelings I'd been having. The honesty was almost harder to hear than the apology. Why? I asked. Why were you embarrassed? Because I was shallow and insecure and desperate to fit in with people I thought were better than us. Lily's eyes filled with tears. You worked so hard to give me opportunities you never had, and instead of being grateful, I resented you for reminding me where I came from. How messed up is that? Pretty messed up, I said. And her eyes widened slightly before she saw the tiny smile on my face. Yeah, it really is. She wiped her eyes. I don't know how to fix it, Mom. I don't know how to earn back your trust or prove I've changed, but I'm trying to at least be honest about who I was and why I hurt you. Honesty is a start, I said, and acknowledging the pattern, not just the wedding. That matters too. My therapist asked me to make a list, Lily said, pulling out her phone. Every time I chose someone else's feelings over yours, every time I excluded you or minimized you or made you feel small. Want to hear it? Do I? Probably not, but maybe you should anyway. For the next 20 minutes, Lily read me a list that broke my heart all over again. The time in high school when she'd told me not to come to parent-teacher night because the other moms dressed nicer. The college graduation dinner when she'd asked me to pretend I worked in an office instead of a diner. The Christmas she'd spent with Trevor's family and told me she'd be too busy to visit. The dozens of small moments when she'd chosen her image over my feelings. That's not even everything, she said when she finished. That's just what I could remember. I'm sure there's more I've blocked out or justified. I sat back in my chair, processing. Why are you telling me this? Why dredge up every painful moment? Because you need to know it wasn't just the Carmichaels, and because I need to own it. All of it. Every selfish, hurtful choice I made. Lily put her phone away. My therapist says I can't heal what I don't acknowledge. Your therapist sounds smart. She is. She also said I might have to accept that you'll never trust me again, and that would be a consequence I earned. The vulnerability in her voice was new. I don't know if I can trust you again, I admitted. Not the way I used to. That kind of trust, where I believed you'd always choose me, where I felt secure in your love. I don't know if that comes back. I understand. But maybe we can build something different, something more honest, where we both acknowledge that relationships take work and nothing is guaranteed. Lily nodded slowly. I'd like that. Even if it's smaller than what we had before, at least it would be real. We finished our coffee and drove the rest of the way to Marion's in more comfortable silence. When we pulled up to the house, Lily took a deep breath. I'm nervous about meeting your new friends. What if they hate me for what I did to you? Marion definitely wasn't your biggest fan when I first told her the story, I said honestly. But she'll be civil, and the others don't know the details. What should I call you? Lily asked suddenly. In front of them, I mean. Is it okay if I call you Mom? The question physically hurt, that she had to ask permission to use the name she'd called me for 2 decades. But I also understood why she was asking. You can call me Mom, I said. But Lily? Maybe earn it back through actions, not just words. I will, she promised. However long it takes. Marion's dinner party was small. Just her, 2 neighbors from the residential community, and a couple from her book club. Everyone was kind to Lily, asked polite questions about her flight and her work, carefully avoided asking about our relationship. During dinner, I watched Lily interact with my new friends. She was quieter than she used to be, more thoughtful before speaking. When Marion mentioned my pottery class, Lily's face lit up. Mom's doing pottery? That's amazing. She always wanted to try that. You knew that? Marion asked, surprise in her voice. She mentioned it once when I was in middle school. We drove past a studio and she said someday she'd like to learn. Lily looked at me. I didn't think you remembered. I remember lots of things, Lily said quietly. After dinner, Marion pulled me aside while Lily helped clear plates. She's different than I expected. Different how? More genuine, more broken. I thought she'd be defensive or entitled, but she seems like she actually gets what she did wrong. She says she does. Time will tell if it's real. Marion squeezed my arm. Either way, I'm proud of you for setting boundaries and making her earn her way back. That night, Lily stayed in Marion's spare room instead of with me in the guest house. Another boundary I'd set, and she'd accepted without argument. Before she went to bed, she hugged me carefully. Thank you for today, for letting me be here. You're welcome. Mom? I know I can't ask this yet, but someday, when I've proven I mean it, could we talk about me being part of your life again? Not the old way, but a new way. I thought about it carefully before answering. Someday. But you need to show me consistently, over time, that you value me. Not just when it's convenient. Not just when you need something, all the time. I will, Lily said. I promise I will. As I walked back to the guest house alone, I realized something had shifted. I wasn't waiting anymore. I wasn't organizing my life around whether Lily would include me, but I also hadn't completely closed the door. Maybe that was the healthiest place to be, open but protected, willing but cautious. Lily had one more day in Santa Fe before her flight home, and I had no idea what would happen next. The next morning, Lily knocked on my door at 7. I opened it to find her holding 2 cups of coffee and a bag from the local bakery. I remembered you like your coffee black with 1 sugar, she said. And I got those almond croissants you used to buy for special occasions. The fact that she'd remembered those details, had gone out early to find them, meant something. Small, but something. Thank you, I said, taking the coffee. Want to sit on the patio? We sat in the morning quiet, drinking coffee and watching the sun climb higher over the desert. Lily broke the silence first. Can I ask you something? And you can say no if it's too much. Go ahead. Will you show me your pottery, the pieces you've made? I hesitated. My pottery had become deeply personal, a part of my new life that had nothing to do with being someone's mother. But maybe that was exactly why I should share it. Okay, my class is this afternoon. You can come watch if you want. Lily's face lit up. Really? I'd love that. We spent the morning walking through Santa Fe's plaza, browsing galleries and shops. Lily didn't try to force conversation or fill every silence. She just walked beside me, present in a way she hadn't been in years. At one gallery, she stopped in front of a painting of a mother and daughter, their faces turned away from each other, but their hands still touching. That's us, she said quietly. Apart, but not completely broken. I studied the painting. Maybe. I'm not giving up, Mom. Even if it takes years, I'm not giving up on us. I know, I said, and I did. For the first time, I believed she meant it. The pottery studio was in an old warehouse converted into artist spaces. Joel greeted us at the door, his kind eyes taking in Lily with curiosity. Margaret, good to see you. And this must be? My daughter Lily, I said. The word felt strange and right at the same time. She's visiting from out of state. Welcome, Joel said warmly. Your mom's one of our star students. Lily's eyebrows rose. Really? Really? She's got a natural feel for the clay, very intuitive. I sat up at my wheel, and Lily sat on a stool nearby, watching. As I centered the clay and began to pull up the walls of a bowl, I felt her eyes on me. Not judging, just observing. You're good at this, she said softly. I never knew you were artistic. I never knew either, I admitted. Never had time to find out. The implication hung in the air. All those years spent working multiple jobs, raising her, sacrificing my own interests. Lily looked down at her hands. I took so much from you. You were a child. Children take. That's what they're supposed to do. But at some point, I should have started giving back, and I didn't. I shaped the rim of the bowl carefully. You're here now. That's something. After class, Joel pulled me aside. Your daughter seems nice, quiet, but genuine. She's working on herself, I said. We both are. That's all any of us can do. Joel smiled. Bring her back next week if she's still around. We could use another pair of hands. That evening, Marion hosted a small bonfire in her backyard. A few neighbors came over, bringing guitars and wine. Lily sat next to me, close but not touching, as someone started playing old folk songs. One of the neighbors, an older woman named Ruth, asked Lily about her life back home. I just got married a few months ago, Lily said. It's been an adjustment. Marriage always is, Ruth said with a laugh. My husband and I nearly killed each other the first year. We're figuring it out, Lily said. Then she glanced at me. I'm trying to be better at a lot of things. Ruth noticed the look between us but didn't pry. That's all any of us can do. Keep trying. Later, when the fire had burned down and most people had gone home, Lily and I stayed in the chairs, wrapped in blankets. I need to tell you something, Lily said. Something I haven't told anyone except Trevor and my therapist. I waited. When I found out about the Carmichaels, when I realized they'd used me and I'd thrown you away for nothing, I didn't want to be alive anymore. My breath caught. Lily. I didn't do anything, she said quickly. Trevor found me in the bathroom and he got me help immediately. But for a few hours that night, I genuinely didn't think I could survive what I'd done to you, to us. Tears were streaming down her face now. And the thing that stopped me, even before Trevor found me, was thinking about you. About how you'd feel if I did that. Even after everything I'd done to hurt you, I couldn't add that to it. Subscribe now, because what happens next will surprise you. I reached over and took her hand. I'm glad you're here. I'm glad you're alive. Even with all the pain between us, I'm glad. Are you? Lily asked. Because sometimes I think you'd be better off if I'd just stayed out of your life forever. That's not true, I said firmly. It hurts that you're in my life, but it would hurt more if you weren't. We sat like that for a while, holding hands in the darkness, the fire down to embers. Mom, can I ask you something else? Always. Do you think you'll ever love me the way you used to, without the fear that I'll hurt you again? I thought about it carefully. I don't know. That innocent kind of love, where you trust completely without reservations, maybe that's gone. But maybe there's a different kind of love that's stronger, because it's been tested and survived. I'll take that, Lily said. I'll take whatever version of your love you can give me. The next morning, I drove Lily to the airport. We got there early and sat in the coffee shop, neither of us wanting to acknowledge that she was leaving. When can I see you again? Lily asked. I don't know. Let's not put pressure on it. Let's just see how things go. Can I call you? Like, actually call, not just text? Yes, but Lily, if you commit to calling, you need to follow through. No more promising to stay in touch and then disappearing for weeks. I understand. What if I called every Sunday? Same time, every week? Would that work? The specificity of it surprised me. That would work. And if I miss a week, you have permission to call me out on it. No more letting things slide. Okay. When her boarding was called, Lily stood up slowly. Thank you for this weekend, for giving me a chance. Thank you for coming, for trying. Lily hugged me, longer this time, less tentative. I love you, Mom. I know I haven't showed it, but I do. I love you too, baby. I watched her walk through security, turning back twice to wave. And for the first time since the wedding photo, I felt something other than pain when I thought about my daughter. Not the uncomplicated love of before, but something real and honest, and maybe stronger for having been broken. I drove back to Santa Fe with the windows down, desert air whipping through the car. My phone buzzed with a text from Lily. Made it through security, already counting down to next Sunday. Thank you for not giving up on me, even when I deserved it. I pulled over and typed back, thank you for not giving up on us. That afternoon, I went to my pottery class and threw the best bowl I'd ever made. Centered and balanced and strong. Joel noticed. Something's different today. You're more focused. I think I'm just finally understanding what I'm working with, I said. The clay, it's always had the potential. You just had to learn to trust it. I thought about Lily, about trust and potential, and the hard work of rebuilding something broken. Maybe we'd never get back what we had before, but maybe we could build something new, something more honest. Later that week, Sunday came. At exactly 2:00, my phone rang. Lily's number. Hi, Mom, she said when I answered. Just calling, like I promised. Hi, baby, how was your week? And we talked, really talked. About her therapy sessions and my pottery class and Trevor's new project at work and Marion's upcoming birthday party. Normal things, small things, building blocks. When we hung up 30 minutes later, I added a reminder to my phone. Lily calls, Sundays, 2 p.m. Not waiting around for her to remember, but expecting her to show up. The following Sunday, she called again, and the Sunday after that. 3 months of Sundays, and she didn't miss one. The calls got easier, more natural. We laughed sometimes. Sometimes we sat in comfortable silence. Once, she called crying because she'd had a fight with Trevor, and I just listened. Didn't try to fix it. Didn't offer advice unless she asked. Just was there. Thank you for listening, she said when she'd calmed down. That's what mothers do, I said simply. Not all of them. You do. On the 4th month of Sunday calls, Lily asked the question I'd been waiting for. Mom, would it be okay if I came to visit again? Maybe for a longer trip this time? How long were you thinking? A week? I have some vacation time saved up. Trevor could come too, if that's okay. I want him to really know you, to understand where I came from. The fact that she wanted Trevor to know me, to see this part of her life, meant something. That would be nice. Let me check with Marion about dates. We planned it for the following month, and this time, when I thought about Lily visiting, I didn't feel dread or anxiety or anger, just cautious hope. Maybe that was enough. Maybe that was actually better than the blind trust I'd had before. Because this time, if we built something, it would be built on honesty instead of obligation. On choice instead of duty. On 2 adults who loved each other and were willing to do the hard work of showing up. That night, I sat on my patio and looked at the stars. Somewhere in North Carolina, Lily was looking at different stars in the same sky. We were separate. We were rebuilding. And for the first time in a long time, I thought we might actually be okay. Lily and Trevor arrived on a Thursday afternoon in late September. I met them at the airport again, but this time felt different. Lily looked healthier, her face fuller, her eyes brighter. Trevor was tall and gentle-looking, the kind of man who opened doors and carried all the bags without being asked. Mrs. Whitley, he said, extending his hand. It's good to finally meet you properly. Call me Margaret, I said, shaking his hand. Mrs. Whitley makes me feel ancient. He smiled. Margaret, then, thank you for having us. The week they stayed was a revelation. Not because of any dramatic moments or tearful reconciliations, but because of the small, ordinary ways Lily showed up. She helped Marion with grocery shopping without being asked. She remembered Joel's name and asked about the pottery studio. She sat with me every morning drinking coffee, not trying to fill the silence with apologies or explanations, just being present. Trevor was easy to be around. He asked genuine questions about my life in Santa Fe, about the pottery, about Marion's book club. He told stories about his and Lily's life that included me naturally, as if I'd always been part of their narrative. "Lily talks about you all the time," he said one afternoon while we were hiking one of the easier trails. Lily had run ahead to take photos of a cactus flower. "About the things you taught her, the way you supported her dreams even when you didn't understand them." "She didn't always see it that way," I said carefully. Trevor nodded. "She knows that now. The therapy has helped her understand how much she took for granted." He paused. "I hope you know I didn't encourage the distance. When she told me she wasn't inviting you to the wedding, I told her it was a mistake." "Did you?" "I did, but she was so caught up in the Carmichael fantasy, so convinced that finding her biological family would fix something in her. I couldn't talk her out of it." He looked uncomfortable. "I should have tried harder." "It wasn't your job to fix her relationship with me," I said. "That was hers. Still, I watched her hurt you, and I didn't do enough to stop it." I appreciated his honesty. "You're doing enough now. Being here, supporting her therapy, helping her rebuild. That matters." That evening, Lily asked if she could cook dinner for everyone. She made pot roast, my recipe, the one I'd taught her when she was 12 and wanted to learn how to cook like me. "I haven't made this in years," she said as she worked in Marion's kitchen. "I forgot how much I loved it." "Why'd you stop?" Marion asked, watching from the doorway. Lily was quiet for a moment. "Because it reminded me of Mom, and for a while, I was trying to distance myself from anything that felt too connected to her." "Stupid, right?" "Not stupid," Marion said. "Misguided, maybe, but you're here now, making it again." "Yeah," Lily said softly. "I'm trying to remember all the good things I threw away." Dinner was perfect. The pot roast tender, the vegetables cooked just right. Marion complimented Lily genuinely, and Trevor kept saying it was the best meal he'd had in months. "Mom taught me everything I know about cooking," Lily said, looking at me across the table. "She had this way of making even the cheapest ingredients taste special." "Necessity?" I said with a small smile. "When you're feeding a growing kid on a diner salary, you learn to be creative." "It was more than that," Lily insisted. "You made everything feel special. Birthday dinners, random Tuesdays, it didn't matter. You always made it feel like an event." The compliment caught me off guard. For so long, I'd believed Lily had only negative memories of our life together. Hearing her acknowledge the good felt like a gift I hadn't expected. After dinner, Trevor and Marion ended up in a conversation about books, leaving Lily and me alone on the back patio. "Can I tell you something I've been thinking about?" Lily asked. "Of course." "I've been going through old photos, the ones you packed up and put in storage. Trevor and I drove to get them last month. I hadn't known that." "How was that?" "Hard, really hard, because every picture told a different story than the one I'd been telling myself." Lily pulled out her phone and showed me a photo. "Remember this?" It was from her high school graduation. I was standing next to her in my best dress, the one I'd saved up for 3 months to buy. We were both smiling, but I could see now what I couldn't see then, how she was leaning slightly away from me, how her smile didn't quite reach her eyes. "I remember," I said. "I look so happy in this photo," Lily said. But I remember being annoyed that your dress wasn't as nice as the other moms, that your shoes were old. I was embarrassed instead of grateful. She swiped to another photo. And this one, my college graduation. You look exhausted because you'd worked a double shift to afford the bus ticket to come see me. But did I thank you? Did I acknowledge the sacrifice? Lily, we don't need to do this. Yes, we do. Because I need you to know that I see it now. All of it. Every sacrifice. Every moment you chose me over yourself. Every time you showed up when it would have been easier to stay home. She was crying now, and I felt my own eyes welling up. I need you to know that I don't take it for granted anymore. I took her hand. I know, baby. I can see the change in you. Do you forgive me? The question I'd been avoiding. I'm working on it, I said honestly. Some days I wake up and I'm still angry. Some days I see you calling and I have to remind myself to answer. But I'm trying, Lily, just like you're trying. That's fair, she said, wiping her eyes. That's more than fair. The next day, Lily asked if I'd teach her pottery. We went to the studio together, and Joel set her up at a wheel next to mine. The key is to center it first, I explained, showing her how to press the clay down and in. If you start with it off-center, everything you build will be unstable. Lily tried, her first attempts wobbling off the wheel. This is harder than it looks. Everything worth doing is, Joel said, coming over to help adjust her hands. But once you get it, once you feel the clay center under your palms, it's the most satisfying thing in the world. After several tries, Lily got it. The clay centered, spinning true and balanced under her hands. I did it, she said, wonder in her voice. You did? I said, smiling. Now comes the fun part, building something new. We worked side by side for an hour, creating simple bowls that would need to be fired and glazed. Lily's was lopsided and imperfect, but it was hers. Can I keep this? She asked. Even if it's not perfect? Especially because it's not perfect, I said. The imperfect ones have the most character. That night, our last night together before they flew home, we all sat around Marion's living room. Marion had made her famous margaritas, and someone had put on old country music. Trevor and Marion were debating something about a book they'd both read. Lily sat next to me on the couch, close enough that our shoulders touched. Mom? She said quietly. Thank you. For what? For not giving up on me, even when I deserved it. For setting boundaries that forced me to grow. For showing me what real love looks like, the kind that's tough enough to say no when you need to. I squeezed her hand. Thank you for doing the work, for showing up, week after week, even when it was hard. I'm going to keep showing up, she promised. Every Sunday call, every visit you'll let me make, every opportunity to prove I've changed, I'm going to keep showing up. I know you will. And I believed her. Not blindly, not with the naive trust of before, but with the careful, earned trust of someone who'd seen the work being done and believed in the possibility of change. When I dropped them at the airport the next morning, the goodbye was easier, not because it hurt less, but because I knew this wasn't an ending. It was just a pause in a conversation that would continue. I'll call Sunday, Lily said, hugging me tight. Same time as always. I'll be waiting. I watched them go through security, and this time when Lily turned back to wave, she was smiling. Not the practiced smile from the wedding photos, but something real and earned and true. Driving back to Santa Fe, I thought about everything that had happened. The betrayal and the pain and the slow, difficult work of rebuilding. We weren't back to where we'd been before. We might never be, but maybe we were somewhere better. Somewhere more honest. That Sunday, at exactly 2 o'clock, my phone rang. "Hi, Mom," Lily said. "Just calling like I promised." And we talked about everything and nothing, about her week and mine, about the pottery bowl she'd made, sitting on her kitchen counter as a reminder, about plans for Thanksgiving, maybe in Santa Fe, maybe in North Carolina. We hadn't decided yet, but we were talking about it. Making plans, building a future together, one careful conversation at a time. When we hung up, I sat on my patio with my coffee and looked out at the desert I'd grown to love. I'd come here broken, believing I'd lost my daughter forever. But what I'd actually lost was an illusion, the fantasy of a perfect mother-daughter relationship that had never really existed. What I'd gained was something more valuable, the truth. Hard and painful and real, but something we could actually build on. My phone buzzed with a text from Lily. "Love you, Mom. Thank you for giving me another chance. I won't waste it." I texted back, "Love you too, baby. See you next time." And I meant it, both parts, the love and the expectation of next time. Because that's what families do, real families built on choice and effort and honesty. They keep showing up, keep trying, keep loving, even when it's hard. Maybe especially when it's hard. I'd spent 69 years learning what love really meant. Not the fairy tale version where everything is easy and everyone always chooses you, but the real version, where love is a verb, an action, a choice made over and over again. Lily was learning it too. And maybe together, we'd figure out how to love each other in a way that honored both our needs. Not the way it used to be, but something new, something better, something real. If this story touched your heart, leave a comment sharing your thoughts. Have you ever had to rebuild a relationship from scratch? What did you learn? And if you want more true stories like this one, hit that subscribe button. Because life is messy and complicated and sometimes painful, but it's also full of second chances for those brave enough to take them. Thank you for listening to my story. I hope it reminds you that it's never too late to choose yourself, and it's never too late to choose love, as long as it's the honest kind.